Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us. Very interesting session once again. And like Shahid has said in the group also, the second last session. I hope this has been an excellent learning experience so far. But we had saved the best for last. So here we are today discussing a very important subject, which is purely important because we're talking about leadership. We're talking about people who are already leaders or going to become leaders in their professional life. So this program, this 2 hours discussion has been tailored in a way that we will not be touching the basics. We will be talking about high level material. We'll be talking about what different leadership traits are important. We'll be talking about different competency frameworks. And Mubin Saab has had a look at ACCA's competency framework, जो सजीद ने आप लोगों को at the beginning of this 7 digits program share किया था. And Mubin Saab, who's our master trainer for today, has also had a look at or has worked with multinational companies such as Nestle and others, और उनके competency framework भी मुबीन साहब को ने देखे हैं और उनके ऊपर work किया हुआ है. So without any further ado, I'll make a short introduction. Mubin Sahab is not a new face to the ACCA community. He has conducted various trainings for members in the past. जिन लोगों ने इनकी ट्रेनिंग्स अटेंड की हैं उन्होंने देखा है कि कितनी इंस्पिरेशनल ट्रेनिंग्स होती हैं और कितनी focused into the point trainings होती हैं, and that is why we are always Mubin Saab repeat customers. We always invite him over to speak to our members. So Mubin Saab has worked at different organizations as a training expert. Right now, he's running his own organization, and he's even currently conducting numerous consultancies and trainings, from the platform of his own organization, which is with with the name talent.org. So, Mubin Saab, over to you for a full-fledged introduction. I'm sorry I may not have done justice to your introduction, but it's such a such a detailed introduction. I'd rather invite you to come and speak to the members about it. So over to you.
Thank you, Harun. Welcome to all. Good evening to everybody. As Harun said, my name is Mubin. I'm basically a professor of management. I've taught in the area of strategy for over last 17 or more years. Now I'm managing my own concern I'm a consultant and a trainer. I have provided training and consultancy to more than 100 organizations all over in Pakistan. We are also the approved trainer for OIC platform. Leadership is one of my favorite areas, as it's an offshoot of strategy. My passion about understanding how people grow, how people become successful, how organizations become successful, has led me to venture into this area of leadership. Today's session is not a training per se. It's not a training that I would say. It is rather giving you an awareness about the canvas of leadership. It is intended to help you understand the various dimensions, aspects of leadership. And each area that we will be discussing entails its own training aspects. We can have as full-fledged trainings on each and every area that we will discuss. So currently, my aim is to help you uncover, understand the broad scope about the concept of leadership. Lots and lots of theory has been so far presented. There are many theories, there are many models. It is extensively studied world over. One of the most researched area in the world. Billions and billions of dollars have been invested so far. And yet The area is continuously emerging. It's such a dynamic area. We keep on finding new dimensions, new attributes, new theories, new models. For example, leadership model of East versus West. They are very different models. The Japanese models of leaderships are different from the American models. Similarly, the religious models of leadership, personal individual levels of leadership to strategic political level of leadership. So it's such a wide area that cannot be covered under one training or one seminar. However, I would like to just give you an overview of the canvas of leadership, and in the while presenting, if you have any question, you can write it in the chat box, question box, and I will try to answer those questions as and when required. So I would encourage participation, discussion in this area, and I will also encourage you to explore this area by reading more about various aspects of leadership. There are many books written on leadership, and you have to explore your leadership style, which will be a different leadership style from the one that you find in the books. So let's start this session with first objective of today's session. So there are basically four objectives. The first, why do we need leadership? The leadership objectives. Second, this will discuss what do leaders do. This aspect will highlight the leadership models. The third question in leadership is, how do leaders practice leadership? What do they do to practice leadership? In business world, this is normally called leadership competencies or the skills that leaders possess. So in some literature, it is also the leadership traits. We are not interested in traits. We will be talking about skills and competencies. And the last but not the least, which is also at the heart of leadership, is how do leaders communicate? Here, the issues of leadership styles and leader communicating as a leader, how it is different from everyday communication comes up. So this is the overall objective of this session, to give you an understanding of various dimensions, aspects of leadership as a subject, as a concept, and leadership as a philosophy. So let me start with first aspect, why leadership? If I ask you this question, why do you want leadership? What is leadership? What do these leaders do? What is the role of these leaders? What do we want to achieve when we act as a leader? So why do we need leadership in our life? Think about it. Why do we need leadership? Why is management not enough? Why is there so much fuss about leadership?
Mubin sir, just sorry for interruption.
Sure.
आपके पास questions dialog box आ रहा है जिसमें जो participants हैं वो अपने responses submit कर रहे हैं. तो
Yes.
अगर आप उस dialog box को open कर रहे हैं तो उसमें आपको जी वो नजर आ रहे होंगे.
हारून, जब मैं ये ओपन करता हूं तो क्या पार्टिसिपेंट्स को भी डायलॉग बॉक्स नजर तो नहीं आता है? आता है? Is it hiding my slides? नहीं आता.
नहीं वो नजर.
It's not hiding my slides. Great.
No, it is not.
Great. So Siddharth, to set the right direction for betterment, growth, and progress, to inspire. Yes, Siddharth, that's good answer. Any other reason? To reach a collective goal. Yes, Hamza. Leadership is direction and guidance. Good. Good. To achieve vision, Junaid. Yes. Nice, Junaid. So there are certain aspects of life that we can only achieve when we act as a leader. To inspire and to be inspired, motivation, guidance on our vision and how to implement it. Yes, these are all the concepts are very good concepts. We must understand that leadership is a concept that in its own right, it is different from management. It's very, very different from management concept. And that differentiation needs to be very clearly understood. This is one of the definitions. I like this one. There are many, many, many definitions of leadership. I like this one. It's a very simple definition. It defines leadership as an interaction. Leadership is a phenomenon of interaction. And here, when we are talking about leadership, we are focusing upon organizational leadership. We are not talking about personal leadership. So leadership as a personal concept is different from the leadership from the organizational perspective. So our focus is leadership from the organizational perspective. So it is an interaction. Leadership always, always will be practiced in the format of interaction. And interaction could be between two people, between team, or between teams of an organization. So there's a concept of team leadership. There's a concept of personal leadership. There's a concept of strategic leadership. So each dimension, whenever a person interacts with another person or a team of an organization in order to influence them, to inspire them, to guide them, to develop them, so that the organization or that person achieves their goals, and so is the objective of society. So if we are focusing on influencing, inspiring, guiding, developing, achieving of goals, that's called leadership. As you can see, leadership can be broken down into its components. Leadership starts with influencing. It is always about people. It is always about certain objectives. It is always about change, always. And it has to be an interaction of leader and follower. The difference here between personal and organizational leadership, in personal leadership, you are your own follower. Whereas in organizational aspect of leadership, there is a concept of leader and follower. So in a personal leadership format, there may not be any follower. That's the most important thing. In personal leadership, you are your own follower. When we go beyond personal leadership, the concept of followers become very important. So if we want to summarize some leadership objectives, that means whenever you have an objective, you interact with a person to inspire. You interact with a person, with an organization, with teams to motivate them. You interact to guide them. You seek to develop their character, their competencies, or you seek to develop new leaders. You are practicing leadership. Whenever you want and you communicate, we need to change. That's another objective of leadership. When you create a challenge for yourself and others, you are practicing leadership. When you want to align the people, their values, organizational culture, this is again leadership. And last, when you want to build teams, organizations, society, or country, you need to practice leadership. These all aspects are very different from management. So when leadership starts, as soon as we identify the objective of our interaction as any of these, if your objective is to build, challenge, change, develop, guide, inspire, or motivate, that means now you are practicing leadership. And that is why you must understand how do we practice leadership, because these are some tools, some objectives that we incur every day. People around us, they understand these things. They want us to be, they want them, they want to be motivated. There are many people who want to be developed. Teams want to develop, organizations want to become more effective. So whenever there is a situation in which you are required to practice and act on these objectives, these are the times when we can say you are required to practice leadership. This leads to the very next question. How do you think leadership is different from management? What is your opinion? How it is different? Why do we say leaders are born differently? They practice differently. They have an orientation that is different from management. Why? Why do we say? What is the difference between the two? Okay, leader take decision, manager also takes decision. Managers also take decisions. And the management implements it. It's not only the decision making. There's something else different. Management is about decision making. Okay, leadership has to bring about the change in the old ways of working. Management demands, leader guides. Okay, even leaders can demand. There's no issue in that. Leaders can demand, and they demand many times. They demand. They are more liked by others. Very vague sentence. Managers are also loved by others. He's an excellent manager. Leader is more of personality. Yeah, that's a great theory. About guiding people, understanding them, making them understand. But manager is more related to administration. Yes, that's good. I mean, management is about administration. Short-term objective focus. Even leaders can have short-term objective focus. It's not necessarily they can have a long-term. It's not necessary. Leader focus can be short-term, can be long-term. It is the timeline on which leader is taking. Let's take the people along with them, show part to make things possible. Leaders eat last. Jaze Bhatti, you are it appears that you love to eat. Okay, the difference between you wanting to do it and you have to do it. Yes, that's good. Your leaders make people want. Yes, okay, good one. Let me show some differences. Actually, both schools of thought are different. As you said, manager is reactive, leader is proactive. Manager implements, leader generates. Yes, short term both can be, but majority of the leader focuses on futuristic and full range. It's a good leadership. Although, as I said, they can be short term as well. That's a major difference. Number three is the major difference. Leader motivates and inspires. Manager directs, and that's a different style of talking to people. Leader asks people to initiate change. Manager helps people in coping with the change. And in summary, if you see, there are two different aspects of leadership. The focus on inspiring trust versus control. Focus on developing versus maintaining. Focus on people versus systems. That's a major difference. Point number three is the paradigm shift. As a leader, your number one priority is people. As a manager, your number one priority is systems. So that's a major difference. Whenever you look beyond the systems and on the people, this is where leadership comes in. So it's a different paradigm altogether. As a leader, you have to think differently. As a manager, you have to think differently. And the challenge that managers face, they have to be both. They must be leader and they must be manager. Becoming pure leader will affect their performance, and becoming pure manager will also affect their performance. So we have to give a balance. The higher you go, the more your focus should move on to leadership. Whereas in the middle and the first line, the higher level of focus is on managerial skills. But higher level, for example, in the C level, it's the leadership that counts. Well, in the middle manager, it's the managership that counts. So please understand that as a ACCA graduate and the senior positions are required to unlearn the art of thinking and practicing as a leader. At the same time, learning to manage the systems as well. So you can't skip any of them. I'll be a leader, not a manager, not possible. You'll be a very, very poor performer. And if you say I'll be a manager, not a leader, again, you will be stuck. You will not be allowed to go to the higher level of the organizations. So it's a balance of the two that creates a challenge in life. And unfortunately, in our education systems, in ACCA, in MBA, we are taught to be a good manager. We are not taught to be a good leader. Although leadership is taught as a subject, but it is taught at the theoretical level, the theories of the leadership. It is not taught at the practical level. How to develop. It is not taught as a coaching sessions, how to develop. On the other hand, number of assignments are given to us to act as a good manager. We are given technical assignments, quantitative assignments, research assignments, to think as a manager, as a rational decision maker, as an optimizer of the resources, as a person who focuses on efficiency. So we can see most of the people, they focus on get results done through cost cutting, through managing, enhancing systems. Very few people focus on improving the performance of the organization by innovation. And if you compare the cultures of Pakistan with many multinational organizations or countries like Japan, like Germany, you can see the difference. Japan focuses more on innovation. Germany focuses more on innovation. Whereas in Pakistan, we focus more on systems, cost control. So that's the difference. We are not that aggressive. We are not that risk oriented because we have been taught to act as a manager more than leader. Any comment here? Any comment here? Have you understood between the two mindsets? So what is the biggest challenge to act as a leader? So what is the biggest challenge to act as a leader? Can anybody tell me? Inspire trust, yes. Acceptance. Uh, Leaders are all, every leader is born leader, but they are required to be made, to be polished, to be converted into diamonds. Like all diamonds are born diamonds. The biggest challenge that we face that stops us from acting as a leader is our inability to challenge the status quo, our inability to see long term into the future, our inability to inspire people. Because as a manager, we have been told to create fear, the respect. People will respect if they fear us. As a manager, most of the systems that we have studied have taught us reward and motivation. External rewards will create motivations. So as a leader, we need to shift the paradigm of our approach to people and to problems. We have to learn how to challenge people. We have to learn how to inspire people. We do not know how to inspire ourselves. We do not know how to motivate people. We do not know how to challenge people. So when we talk about leadership, we have to develop a new mindset, which is totally different from the managerial mindset. So there you have to learn a new dimensions of thinking. And this is what I'm going to give you an overview of leadership mindsets. So let's move to the second module, what leaders do, the leadership models. Once we have understood the objectives, leader needs to inspire, leader needs to motivate. That's their objective. This is not what leaders are doing. Leader needs to develop organization. That's an objective. But how do they achieve? What actions do they do? Do they take? Is very important. So I would like to highlight certain clarity here. Many researchers and many writers have mixed the two concepts, the leadership styles and leadership models. They are two different dimensions. Models highlight the relationship between various aspects of leaderships, whereas styles is the behavior of leaders. So here we are talking about models. And you can have your own model, by the way. You can have your own model. There are many models out in the world. Many, many models. So models highlight what leaders do, what are the activities. They highlight the various dimensions in which we can divide these activities. They highlight the relationship between those various activities. So Models are the representation, graphic representation of leadership focus, leadership activities, leadership dimensions. So these are the graphic representations of what leaders are supposed to focus upon, what leaders are supposed to do, what are the important dimensions when thinking about leadership. So let's look at few models. A very famous model, John Adair, 1973. This is also called action leadership. This is one of the most practiced, a very practical oriented model. It says a leader needs to balance three different needs. This leadership model talks about the needs of organization, the leadership needs. So there are three needs that a leader must balance. And John Adair argues that if we unbalance any of the needs, the whole leadership paradigm will not be effective. The concept of effectiveness will be reduced. So the first need is task need. What needs to be done to achieve our goals? So that means the task needs means planning, goal setting, establishing the standards, what is expected performance standard, identifying all the tasks that are required to achieve a goal. That's what these are called the task needs. The second dimension is individual needs. Now, individual needs means leader need to focus on people in helping them develop into the new leader. So it is about coaching, counseling, developing, and motivating individuals. Third dimension, group needs. This is where the team building comes in. Here, the leader's focus is to build team so that they can focus on the task and at the same time focus on the individual needs. If you focus, the challenge of balancing these three is a very important concept in leadership. There are many people who either focus on tasks, so they become autocratic leaders, or they become focused on individuals, so they focus, they may become a paternalistic leader, or their focus can move into team leadership where they fail this democratic style of leadership, building team, getting consensus. So whenever we focus on one aspect more than other, the overall balance is destroyed and the result is lack of leadership effectiveness. This is a very, very important model, and it has led to many areas of research, and many papers have been written on this aspect, how to balance the task, individual and group needs. As a leader, we need to develop team. As a leader, we need to develop individuals. And as a leader, we need to set new dimensions, new directions for the organization. Put yourself in the shoes, if you are all our managers, and ask yourself, are you balancing all three? Or do you see your focus is more on one side and less on other sides? For example, in Pakistan, my observation has been our focus is more on task need and group needs, whereas we do not focus on individual needs. What do you say? How do you look at this model? What is your leadership practice here, styles here, yeah? Are you able to balance all three? In which area do you feel you are weak? Yes, Hamza. Why do you think it is that we are not focused on individual needs? Why? What's the challenge? Mohammed Waqas, you are weak in task needs, so you need to improve. Why is it that we are not focusing on individual needs? What is the reason behind? Yes, because of our belief about leaders should be authoritarian, fear-based. Our culture likes people who are aggressive. Yes, because of lack of emotional intelligence. Very good, Tahmina. So understand, we want to be feared. We respect fear. Yes, we need to change our philosophies. You see, these models help us understand different dimensions of leadership. They are telling us where to focus. How do leaders do? A good leader balances all three. So this is leadership model. Good. Let's move to the next model. A very, very powerful model. Competing value framework. Let me share a very interesting concept with you. And this is my personal observation that personal is also being reflected in this model. The beauty of life, and note my words, what I'm saying. Very carefully note my words, what I'm saying. Beauty of life lies in managing the opposite aspects of anything. For example, you are flexible at one hand and you are strict at the other end. So you are managing both. You are exhibiting both aspects of life at one time. When you manage both opposite ends at any given time, you are balancing life. So extremes, go to two extremes, flexibility and rigidity. And at the same time, you have both, combining the two. This is what this framework is saying. Competing value framework, balancing the opposites of life. And if you look in the universe, it is the opposites that are combined in the most beautiful way in the universe. And the people who exhibit those opposites and in one behavior, they are the most commanding people. So now let's look at this competing value framework. What does it say? Let's look at the first yellow one. The yellow sector says collaborate, and it means do things together. The opposite to collaborate is compete, which is called market. Do things fast. So in an organization, we need to compete in the market, yet collaborate internally. So these are the two opposites that organization must do. On the other hand, if you see, the red one is control and the green one is create. These are two opposites. On one hand, we need to control the systems, the cost, and everything. On the other hand, we want to create new product. We want to create new culture. We want to create something radical new innovations. So if you see opposite ends, if you see flexible and focused, internal versus external, and long term versus short term, incremental versus breakthrough. So leadership is about managing the extremely opposite in one go, under one umbrella, managing extreme opposite ends. Your boss is extremely friendly, your teacher was very friendly, yet very strict. So these two opposites are combined. And this is the most powerful concept of life when you practice and you have the ability to go to both extremes, yet remaining in the balance. So if you look at, I'll show you next one with this is competing value framework. If you see, now let's look at the number one long-term change. The culture type in such an organizations will be clan. That means they are very closely knit. Third type, the objective of leadership is to create collaboration between various departments. The focus of leadership is to facilitate, is to build team, is to act as a mentor. In such an organization, the focus of the leader will be to develop commitment in the people. The values that it will exhibit is commitment, communication, and development. And you should focus upon what is the definition of effectiveness in that. You see, definition of effectiveness is different in each organization. In clan, the definition of effectiveness is human development and high commitment. Now, if you move to new change or advocacy, where orientation is creation, the theory of effectiveness is innovation, vision, and constant change. This is 3M. This is Google. This is Apple. Create, innovate, entrepreneur, visionary. This is what Apple is all about. This is what 3M is all about. Now, if we come down, culture type is market. This is where Nestle, Unilever type organizations come in. Here, the theory of effectiveness is aggressively competing and customer focus produced effectiveness. Procter and Gamble, competitor, producer. So you see, as soon as you go focus on any aspect, you need to change the organizational culture. Similarly, if you move into hierarchy, the effectiveness definition changes. The value level become efficiency and consistency and uniformity. It's focused on control. Efficiency focuses on cost control, reduction in input, and so that we can get the same output. So the challenge is, if you want to create an organization that has two opposite drivers, how can you do that? Most of the people find comfort in one dimension only. Either they are market oriented or they are collaboration. But good organizations, there are a number of good organizations who go for more than one or balance of all four. If you look at Apple, or if you look at Google, if you look at Toyota, if you look at Ferrari, if you look at Audi, you will see they have combined all four in a beautiful manner. And that's the beauty of leadership, when it has the ability to combine the opposites into one aspect and focus on both ends at the same time. So they know how to collaborate, yet at the same time they focus on competition. They create internal competition and external competition. Let me share a story of Sony with you. In good old days, when Sony used to be number one and the best in the market, They were the champions of innovation. So they were focused on creating. However, in order to compete and collaborate at the same time, Sony would use to make 3 teams for every new product. There were 3 teams for every product. Team number 1 would create a new product. Team number 2 would focus on reducing the size of that product. For example, our handheld camera will be reduced in size. And the focus of team number 3 will be to do what? Can you tell me what will be the focus of number 3 team? First focus is to develop a new product. Second team focus is to reduce the size of the product. What could be the focus of the third team? Can you tell me? Any idea? What could be the focus of the third team? Sony. No, that's the first team. Their marketing is something very different. Marketing teams are very different. What else? Can you come up with an idea? Why would they have third team in place? No idea. Okay, let me tell you. The job of the third team. No. It's not about coordination. The job of the third team was to develop a product in such a way that this product is no more required. To delete the product, to create a new product that will make this product obsolete. For example, a team was working on cassettes. The job of the new team was to make a product that will make cassettes useless. That was the job of the new product team, to create a product that will make this product useless, to create a new product. So that was competition. So you create a product, I will create a product that will destroy your product. So they were creating internal competition. And that's why Sony was number 1 in the world till they lost it to other organizations. They stopped practicing it. So this model of competing value framework, it's a very powerful model. It helps us see the opposites and broadens our mind, our vision, our philosophy, our focus, and enables us to reach out to people and do things which create wonders. And as you can see, if you focus only on one aspect, for example, on compete or create, you become narrow. So the beautiful level concept of this leadership model is it helps us become very agile and dynamic. So it's a very powerful competing value framework. It is given by Quinn, and there are books on it. It's a research project. It's an outcome of a research. Another very powerful and one of the world's most used leadership model is situational leadership model given by Hersey and Blanchard. Now Clint Blanchard is doing it on his own. It's called situational leadership 2.0. Now this model, as you can say, it's a situational leadership model. It says leaders should change its leadership style based on the situation. Now, situation is defined as the level of competence of the follower and the level of commitment by the follower. So competence and commitment. It is a 4-stage model: S1, S2, S3, and S4. And with each stage, it has a different level of development: D1, D2, D3, and D4. S1 means that the D1 is the pink one, where low competence, high commitment. The follower is a person who does not know how to do something. For example, a new hire. You have hired a new person, a fresh graduate from a university or a college, and the person has very little idea about how things are done. But being a new, he or she is very eager to show the results and is very committed. In order to develop this person into a fully grown manager, the first stage is called directing, where the leader will give directions and will ask the follower to do exactly as told without any argument. Go and do it and give me the result. Like when we teach somebody to drive or to ride a bike, we tell them do this, 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 and do exactly as we tell you. This is called directing. In S2, what happens? The, the follower has developed some competence, but at the same time, the level of commitment also goes down because of too much directing, the person becomes demotivated. This is called coaching. Here, you talk, you guide, you give little support. Yeah, here you would help that person understand the task, you get involved in discussions, and you help the person solve the problems while you're giving the support. So it's like when you teach somebody how to ride cycle, you are holding the carrier, but sometimes you let go this person cycle on his or her own. So this is coaching. In level 3, the competence has improved, but commitment is not that high level because the person is seeing I am doing some good, but I'm expecting to be promoted. I am not being admired that much. So here you start giving more and more of the guide, low direction and more support. So you give them the authority to do more and more, but not complete authority. It is like asking your elder brothers or sons to go to market nearby and come back. They are not allowed to go to distance. They are driving the car with you sitting over there, but not guiding the person what to do, but under your supervision. That's called supporting. And the last is called the delegating, where the competence levels and commitment level both have become very high. And this is the level where the person is ready to be promoted. This is a level where you can trust that person. Okay, you can take my car from one place to another. You will risk the life of your family and your friends on that person. You have given the delegation, the authority, the power, the responsibility to that person. This model is a very complex model. It highlights different skills at each stage. You need to identify the competence level of your follower, and you need to change your style at each stage. So it requires you to learn all 4 styles, and it also requires you to become master of identifying the levels of your subordinates. So this is a very complicated, very complex, but a very powerful practice model. You can learn about this model and you can practice and you can see where are you currently. Where is your manager? How is your manager managing you? And how you are managing your juniors? What is the commitment and competence level that you are experiencing right now? Are you at S3 or S2 or S4? and what is the attitude of your management towards you. So this model highlights the required changes in the leadership styles that are as and when a person progresses from the level of maturity. This is a maturity continuum as well. Any questions here? Okay, any questions here? Have you understood the situational leadership concept? And where do you see yourself in this box, in these 4 boxes? Anybody in S3, S2, or S4? Umar Saeed, S3. And how is your boss managing you? Good, very good. S4 delegation, very good, Sidra. Sidra, you are S3, S4. Make up your mind. Yes, yes, Ijaz. People can change, and that is what leadership is all about. You need to change your style, and that is why these models help you understand. Yeah, your boss has to be at S4. That is why the person can delegate. Okay, let's move forward. This is not really a model, a very good summary of what uh, leaders are required to do. This is taken from Jack Welch. Uh, how many of you know Jack Welch? How many of you know Jack Welch? Hamza, good, good. So at least 2 people know Jack Welch. I would like you to read about Jack Welch. He's an author, but he's more than an author. He's not really an author. He is the CEO, the longest serving CEO of any American company. He served General Electric for 25 years. And he is uh, one of the best leaders that America has produced in the corporate world. This is the he has written books, Welsh, uh, Straight from the Gut, Winning, and other books. He's a very good writer and must read books. His books are must read. His book Winning I used to teach as a part of my leadership course at my university. Okay, if you let's look at this slide. If you look at top column 10 topics, lead more, manage less. It means get less formal. When we manage more, we stop listening from people. We hide. When we manage less, we incorporate people idea into our thinking. We listen and we improve. So lead more, manage less means lead, manage less, articulate your vision, simplify, get less formal, energize others, face reality, follow up. In the bottom, you see build a winning organization. That's a very different concept. Developing an organization means eliminating boundaries, put values first. I don't know how many of you have an idea about values. I have no idea. How much do you know about the importance of values in organization and persons and personal orientations and in leadership? Creating a learning culture. Again, let me know if you know anything about learning culture. Make business fun. This is a very big challenge. Do you love what you do? And in the last issue, build the market leading company, live quality, constantly focus on innovation, live speed, behave like a small company. That's a very big challenge. When you are a big company, you have to behave like a small company. Let's first focus on put values first and create learning culture. What do you know about values? Put values first. What do you know about put values first? What do you understand by this sentence? Put values first. What do you understand by this sentence? This is again leadership. What leaders do? Leaders put values first. What does this mean? Focus on ethics and commitments more than objects. Good. Good. Yes, that's good. Any other idea? The organizations that you work in, can we say they put values first? Or they put profitability and sales first? Bottom line eats values for breakfast. That's the irony in our life. That's the irony in life. Individual needs come before values. So unfortunate. So unfortunate. This is where the leadership is dead. If this is what is happening, this is where the leadership has died. There's no leadership. Simply no leadership. It's all managerialship or it's all chit chat, talks. There is no leadership if there are no values. In one sentence, this is what I can say. If you are not putting values in front, I'm sorry, you're not practicing leadership. So everybody who thinks that leaders should focus on results, yes, it is true, but results must come from values. Let me share one quotation of Jack Welch here, and you can understand why he says put values first. In his retiring speech, he said to his people, there are four types of people in your organizations. There are four types of people in your organization. One who has values and brings dollar. That means he's very productive, very effective and efficient. He said the one who brings dollar and is very and has high values, retain that person. Second, the one who has values but is not that productive, is not bringing dollars. Said retain but train. Provide training, give him the skills, he will become productive. Then he said there's a person who has no values and is not productive. Fire that person. Let that person go. And the fourth is a person who is the best salesman, is the most productive, brings lots of dollar, and but does not practice values, has no values. And he said, find them, locate these people, and then shoot them. He said, this is his words, shoot them. People who do not have values are very dangerous. So put values first. You hire on competency, but you always fire on values. Creating a learning culture. Any idea how do you create a learning culture? As a leader, you are required to create a learning culture at your department. You may be a senior heads. So any idea about how to create a learning culture? Yes, discuss, meet more often, yes. To lead by example is not really explains. It can fit in everywhere. Indulge people in discussion, yes, that's good. To share your knowledge with others, training is in-house, external, and make them share this, yes. And discussion with customers and making that learning common to everybody. Learning, accepting your mistakes and telling everybody the mistake. So everybody should know what was the mistake so that mistake is not repeated. It's a full process. There are many dimensions of learning where you are sharing knowledge, storing knowledge, learning from those mistakes, then accessing, creating, generating more knowledge, more information. So it's a full system where we need to develop and implement. We have 2 more minutes before we go take a break for namaz. We will take a namaz break around 9:15. From 7:15 to 7:25, we will take a 10 minutes break of namaz break. So these, if you see from these are what leaders do. These are the focus of leaders' activities. These are focus of leadership. What I need to do to practice leadership. So John, and these are just few models. There are more than 100 models. I'm not discussing each and every model. It's not possible for me. So John Adair model, competing value framework model, situational leadership model, and one which is not really a model, but just a focus on what various aspects we need to do to act as leader. Next topic is how leaders do. The main focus of today's lecture is leadership skills and competency. For example, we have seen leader's objective is to inspire. Question is, how do we inspire? What skills do we need? Leaders need to create a collaborative environment. How do they do that? What skills are needed? So understanding the skills will help us perform as a leader. We need to understand whatever we do must be backed by the skill or the ability to do. For example, developing a learning organization is something that we want to do. but how to do is a skill. And organizations promote their own competency frameworks about leadership. After the break, when we will come back at 7:25, we will start with these leadership competency frameworks. Harun, over to you.
Thank you very much. We now take a 10 minutes namaz break, and we just leave the system running. We just go on mute, and 7:25, when we come back, we will resume sharply. So please go and say your prayers, and then we'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Should we start? Till 1 minute to go. So far, any question before we begin? Okay, welcome back after prayers. We were about to discuss the skills. What skills do leaders need? How leaders do? How do they practice leadership? Previously, we studied leadership, what leadership leaders are required to do. We also discussed the objectives, what do they want to achieve. Now we are going to discuss the skill set that is required. This is a competency framework given to you by ACCA. And as you can see, there are various aspects that you are required to master, to manage, to learn, so that you can become a thorough professional. Leadership and management is one of such skills that you need to know. Apart from other aspects of financial management, taxation, audit, and assurance, each area requires its own skills so that you can master that area and become an expert, a professional in that area. So leadership is one of the such area which is required in your competency framework. There are many leadership competency frameworks. Now, competency frameworks basically manages what an organization needs their leaders to do. It's a combination of multiple skills combined into areas. So there are many skills that leaders are required, and organization can pick and choose which skills is required for their existing leadership practices. So there are multiple competency frameworks. I'll be using few. Your organization will have its own competency framework, or you can also develop your own competency framework for that purpose. Let's look at this one example of competency framework. Competency framework, in which aspect organization needs you to be competent, the leadership aspect. Then there are managerial competencies. There are team building competencies, the various competencies in various areas. So leading other, first area is leads other. Leader should show competency in its ability to lead others. In this head, you can see that skills that are required is seeks to know others. That means you must have the ability to understand about others. You must know the strengths and the weaknesses of others, the qualities of others. You should be able to guide, develop, and motivate others. Now, motivation skill is a very important skill when it comes to leading others. Most of us are not very well versed with the theories of motivation and the tools of motivation. We only believe that there is only fear or reward based motivation. Most of us are not well trained in intrinsic motivation. How many of you have heard this word of intrinsic motivation or are well versed with this concept of intrinsic motivation? Intrinsic motivation. How many of you know, haven't heard? Ali Sheikh. Intrinsic motivation. What about others? So there are two types of motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. No, interest motivation is not inherently intrinsic. It could be extrinsic. This is called carrot and a stick. That's the theory, the X factor theory. We do it because of the fear, or we do it because we will get rewarded. So it's not without hope for reward. It's not. It's not about hope. You always do something because there is a reward. Even when you do something for your own self, you want to do it because of a reward. Good, Janze Bhatti. Excellent, excellent. You are 100% right. Due to internal satisfaction. So, if we do not know how to create, now as a leader, the challenge is to help people create intrinsic motivation. How people become motivated intrinsically. As a manager, we are focused on extrinsic motivation. So that's a style, that's an art. Okay. We normally we use cash rewards or some stuffs or some type of letters, recommendation letters, promotions, salary increase. These are all extrinsic. And we say, yeah, salary, we don't get so much salary here, so I'm not motivated. I'm demotivated because salary is low. So intrinsic motivation is something totally different, and that's the job of the leader, is to create intrinsic motivation in the team. Excellent. We must learn that, I think. Similarly, inspiring. Now, inspire is different from motivation. The ability to influence and inspire. Inspire has a connotation of motivation as well, but it is more than motivation. It is creating an energy for a bigger purpose. It is influencing people to do something. Second is delivers performance. Now, leader has to get the results done. There's no concept of leadership without getting results. That's simply not possible. So one of the area, the number one area, if you see, is driving for results. This is a characteristic, the drive for results. These people, the leaders, have drive for results, and they create this drive in others as well. Now, for drive for results, there's one area, for example, this is called initiatives. Do you take initiatives? Do you solve problems? Are you innovative? So innovations, initiatives, leaving no stone unturned to get your result is the power, is the ability that is required by organizations to show that you must display that you have the drive for results. Similarly, if you move into know the organization, sorry. How much are you aware about the strengths of your organization, about the departments of the organization? What do you know about the change? Are you a change catalyst? Is it what requires? What are the changes that are required? Can you move across the boundaries of the organization? These are the different characteristics. Can you negotiate within department, collaborate within departments? And the last in this model is leading self. how much do you know about your own strengths and weaknesses? Do you have personal goals that you want to use? Are you growth driven? Are you emotional intelligent? Are you learning oriented? These are certain competencies. There are a number of competencies, as I've already said, that you need to demonstrate, and each competency is a separate area of training. For example, if you look at leads other, may leads through concepts and communicates, listens effectively. So conflict management, listening skills is a training area. Problem solving, decision making is a training area. Initiative is a training area, right? Collaborating across departments is a training area. So each skill in its own domain is a dynamic area which you need to learn and improve. Similarly, this is one of the competency model of Francia. It's an old model, it's not the latest model. As you can see, Nestle leadership framework comprises of 4 core areas: inspiring people, adding value, dealing with others, and opening up. Many areas, when you compare from the last this one, there are many overlapping areas with its own definitions. For example, practice what you preach is the values. So how do you inspire people? As a leader, our job is to inspire people. And the simplest definition of leadership is when you practice your values. Leadership is exhibited when we practice our values. The easiest way to motivate any person is to appeal to the values of that person. The easiest motivator, the easiest way to inspire a person is to appeal to the value of that person. If you understand the sentence that I've just said, the easiest method to motivate a person is to appeal to the value of that person. Do you understand the sentence? The easiest way to motivate, the leadership is practiced or displayed when we practice our values. If you understand these 2 sentences, but how? Most people, like much worried, haven't given a thought about it. Think about it, Mohammed Ali Sheikh. Think about it. Your number one motivation is what you want to achieve in your life. What is the most important thing in your life? If it's your family, if I appeal to you about your family, you will do it. If it's your knowledge, when I appeal that it will help you gain knowledge, you will get motivated. So yes, exactly, Muhammad Ali said right. When we talk to people about what is important to them, people get motivated. And when you practice also what you are saying, people get motivated because they see you practicing that. This is what Nelson Mandela did. He practiced what he preached. And that is what we look for a leader. Words must match the behaviors, and behaviors must match the words. If there's a difference between words and behaviors, people don't get motivated. Okay. So another is dealing with others, proactive cooperation, impact, convince. So dealing with others, as you can see in the previous slide, was knowing the organization, delivering performance. So these are the areas where Nestle provides training to people, how to become result focused, how to take initiatives, how to be creative, how to challenge status quo. And by the way, if you look at opening up, the last point, courage. This is the fundamental aspect of leadership. If you are not courageous, you can never practice leadership. And service orientation. A leader has to be service oriented. The focus is on helping others. So competency frameworks help you understand what skills will be required in my organization to practice leadership. What is the definition of leadership? How can I practice leadership? What do I need to learn about leadership if I have to need to excel in the organization? Any questions on this leadership competency framework? So there are many skills, as you have seen. There are many skills that leaders are required, but we must focus those skills in the form of some competencies. And competencies have levels. That's an important point. For example, a person may have a competency of level 1, while your manager may have the same competency of level 4. So the job of a manager, of a leader, is to help people move from level 1 to level 4. So have you ever seen a competency framework in your life where each skill is rated on a scale of 1 to 4 or 1 to 5 or 1 to 6 maybe? For example, negotiation, how good you are a negotiator, a basic negotiator, or you are an advanced level negotiator. So your job is to measure your skills. Have a competency framework in front of you, whatever you have. It's your organization, excellent. If it's not, pick one of these and then measure yourself against those levels where you are currently. For example, listening. A good leader listens. Now, the level of listening is, first level is acting to listen. You are not listening, but you are acting that you are listening. Second level is competing listening to compete. This is where we are listening, but we are thinking about what answer should I give. Third level is passive listening, what you are doing right now. And fourth level is reflective listening, where you go into a dialogue, where you look at the behaviors, the body language, the tone, the eyes, words, emotions, and then you listen and you ask questions. So listening has levels. Similarly, all the skills that we know have levels. Problem solving, decision making has levels. What level of decision making can you do? What steps can you do? How much analysis do you do in decision making? So look at these skills from the scale point of view and evaluate yourself. How much distance do you need to travel? One of the most common area which we come across in leadership is leadership styles. And this is where people think this is what leadership is all about, well, it is not. Style is how you communicate, how you practice leadership. Style is about your perception of power and how do you influence people. And remember, every person has his or her own leadership style. Even a 5-year kid will be practicing some leadership style. It could be an authoritarian, it could be participative. But every person in the world has a leadership style. This is how the person expresses his concept of power. The person uses the style to influence others, to communicate up to others. So leadership styles is a common method, a common word where we taught leadership. And as you can see, leadership style is just one aspect of leadership, how you practice. So these are the some leadership styles. As you can see, there are 10 styles they have been written here. Coaching is a different leadership, visionary, servant leadership, autocratic leadership, laissez-faire or hands-off leadership, democratic, pace setter, transformational, transactional, bureaucratic. We will be discussing few of these leadership styles. These are the 4 most common leadership styles in the world. The paternalistic is like a father figure who treats his followers from the parent-child point of view. Laissez-faire is no leadership. That basically means you have given the free hand, you have no control, you are not even getting the feedback from them. It's a free thing. So you are not practicing any leadership. Authoritarian, on the other hand, is just opposite, where you have total control, you have the power. Democratic is where you discuss with the people, but you retain the power to decide. So these are the four most common styles, but let me talk about some advanced styles. Another very common style of leadership is transformational or transactional, also called the full range leadership. As you can see, the range moves from laissez-faire to idealized influence, which is transformational leadership. On this picture, you can see the ineffective side and the passive side is laissez-faire, which is ineffective and passive, while on the other hand, it's active and effective is idealized influence or attributed behavior. This is the continuum of leadership, and it says it's from the BAS. It says the ideal leader is the one who practices transformational leadership. Now, transformational leadership is also a model and a style. It's a model because it is combining the different aspects of leadership. As you can see, the transactional leadership focuses on active management and contingent rewards. For example, it says the reward will be given if you do this. On the other hand, the transformational leadership focuses on inspiration and motivation. It challenges the mind and makes the person lovable. The concept of charisma is one part of transformational leadership where the leader is loved. And the idealized influence, he or she creates the idealized influence. So transformational leadership is a style that we can learn. It is driven by the concept of vision. It is driven by the concept of communicating that vision, the change. It is driven by the concept that leaders motivate people through intrinsic motivation, through linking them with the vision and motivating them to bring about the change. So a full-scale leadership, if you see, it starts from laissez-faire, which is no leadership, and moves to the highest level of idealized influence, which is transformational leadership. So these are the leadership styles. Transformational leadership is also called the four I's of transformational. The I for individual consideration, intellectual stimulation, inspirational motivation, and idealized influence. This is another different types of leadership styles given by Goldman. And as you can see, each style has a definition. The commanding style is I do what I tell you. And you can see the impact on the bottom of the slide. What is the impact of each style? The most difficult is the visionary style and the coaching style. These are the most difficult styles to practice. Pace setting is done in the world, but we are more focused in Pakistan is democratic, affiliative, and commanding styles. Visionary style is very difficult because it requires person to forecast the future, see the required changes, convert the change into a picture, a speech, a movie, and explains the future to people in such a way that people are able to see and link themselves with that picture. The picture is associated with the values of the people, and hence the people become motivated. One of the best visionary speech is by Martin Luther King, when he said, "I have a dream." Visionary speeches are given by Quaidism. Many speeches of Quaidism are visionary in nature, where he explained the concept of Pakistan. So top leaders who practice visionary leadership are required to develop vision. Many people think leadership and vision are synonymous, which is not true. Yes, it's a very important aspect, but many times you can practice leadership without developing a vision. You can have a vision, or you can develop a coaching style where a person individually has its own vision and you help the person achieve his or her vision. So coaching focuses on developing people for the future. Pace setting is like helping people run fast. It is setting standards for performance and is practiced in Pakistan and world over also, and it is negative. In the long term, it's negative. In short term, it's good. It for developing, when we look at situational leadership, the S1 may be requiring or S2 may be requiring pace setting so that the person starts to run faster. But in the longer run, one must move away from pace setting to affiliative or visionary or coaching aspect. In affiliative, people they go for clan, they create affiliation around themselves. It's about relationship, it's about creating a team. So it's a very good style if people can link to you, can gather around you, have a positive association with you. So it's a good style, but needs lots of practice. A very important leadership style that has recently been given to us is again research based style that's called authentic leadership. How many of you ever heard about this authentic leadership concept? Authentic leadership, have you ever heard about this concept? If you haven't heard, then you do not know what is, you have never seen that one. So if you do not know, you cannot identify the people. Authentic leadership basically is a concept that says leadership, a person becomes a leader because he or she loves something to practice. It flows out of his values or her values. It flows out of her passion. Dr. Amjad Saqib, for example, is one. Nelson Mandela is one. Qaid Azam is one. Natural leader. They love what they do. They are passionate. They are driven by their values, and they do not need people approval to tell them that they are leaders. So this authentic leadership is a concept that tells that how you can become a leader if you love to do what you are doing. So they are aware of their strengths, their limitations, and their emotions. They are not afraid to reveal their true selves to their followers. They do not have two faces. They do not have two personalities. They are not. There's something else in private and something else in public. They're like most of our politicians. Authentic leader is a person who people love because he is what he is. There is no difference between what he says and what he practices. These are the authentic leaders that we have seen. Do you know anybody in Pakistan? I have met quite a few, Alhamdulillah, in Pakistan. Many authentic leaders in Pakistan. What about you? If you have found one authentic leader, get connected with that person. They will be very tough taskmasters. Very tough. They will punish you. They will force you to do things, and they will be relentless in their pursuit. If you are watching the drama Artohal, he's an example of authentic leader. This is a model of authentic leadership. They have a purpose, they have strong values, they are focused on relationships, they are self-disciplined, and they are driven by their heart. Our many Sufia Karams are based on this authentic leadership model. They are compassionate, they are consistent, they are connected with the people, their behavior is consistent with their values, and they are driven by the passion. So if you want to become really a leader, this is the model that you should follow. Identify your value, identify the purpose, and then start working because you love people. You want people to improve. If your focus is from inside to outside about people, and you're sincerely committed about people, Edi, Abdul Sattar Edi, and you love what you do, you are an authentic leader. This is the model that I would urge you. This is the style that I would urge you to, to follow if you want to learn leadership. This is one of the best leadership styles that I think. It's my personal opinion. Before we start the last session, any questions so far? Before we start the last session, we have only 5 more minutes to go. Any questions so far? Okay, no questions, so let's move forward. The last is about communications. Remember, leadership style is also about communication, how you communicate. Authoritarian leader communicates through authority. Passive, the laissez-faire leader communicates passively. He has seldom communicates. So communication is one aspect. Leadership style is how you communicate your concerns, your power up to others. However, we should understand, as a leader, our communication skills are different from when we communicate as a manager. It is different from our day-to-day communication. So communication skills here we are talking about of a leader are different from the communication skills of a manager. Let me just highlight what are the differences. As we have highlighted, the leader is a person who inspires, who provides change, he empowers. Now, this inspiration, to inspire, we need to know what communication style is required to inspire people. How can we inspire? What words do I need? What tones do I need to use? If I need to convince people about change, what are the communication styles that are needed? So for leader, the most important skill is communication. We must master the art of communicating as a leader. First and most important thing, the leader communicates vision. Now, in order to communicate vision, remember, vision is a picture that you have in your mind. You are seeing it, you are believing it. You are highly attached to that vision, that picture. And that is the picture of the future, and that's a picture that you want to arrive at. And that's a picture that is different from the current trajectory that you're moving. So your ability to communicate what you see to the people is very critical. It's very, very important to help people see what you are seeing in your mind. If people can see what you are seeing, they get connected, and if they believe, so your tones, your strategy of creating trust is the most important part of your communication. You act as a brand on which people must trust. So your values, your behavior, your words, your tones must match with what you are saying. So they must create a trust in that. So in order to inspire, we need to become a good storyteller. We need to have access to good stories. We must know emotional, positive emotional words. We should have lots of emotional, positive emotional words in our dictionary, in our vocabulary. We should understand what motivates people and how to energize people. People will come to us demotivated. They are looking for some messiah, some savior, some motivator. So if we do not have those words, those stones, those sentences, those pictures to share with them, they will not be motivated. So our ability is to create some intrinsic motivation. We must use multiple tools. It's not tools, it's tools of influencing. We must, there are a number of tools. For example, we can use power as a tool for influencing. We can use referencing as a tool for influencing. We can use knowledge as a tool for influencing. So there are a number of tools we can use to influence and inspire people. And most important, and this is the most important point, every interaction that you have with your people, your followers, your that who are around you, every interaction must be converted or treated as an opportunity to inspire. After meeting with you, people should behave, should think, should become positively charged, energized. Even if you criticize, they should be happy, they should be motivated. Your criticism should be taken as a positive aspect of development rather than criticizing a negative aspect. When you challenge them, it should be taken as positive. You must link the challenge with their values, with the vision. So this is a conscious style of communication. When you communicate, you challenge people. You give them goals which are tough. And remember, leadership always gives tough goals. They never give easy goals. They'll again sell these goals to the people. And they practice, they show them that I am also practicing on the same goals. My goals are as tough as your goals. ये नहीं हो सकता, it's not possible that your goals are smaller goals and that your team goals are bigger goals. No, your goals will be tougher than your team goals. That is how you will set example. So as a leader, your job is to challenge people. Your statement should be challenging oriented. Your orientation should be challenge oriented. So your communications are very different. And whenever you communicate as a leader, you must link yourself with the values. Every time values should be linked with the decisions, with the behaviors, with every forum, on everything, values should be highlighted. That's the most important aspect of leadership. Leader links people with the values. And leaders should promote conflicts, should use conflicts as an opportunity, should let people manage their conflicts positively, should not get indulged in small petty conflicts. Let people handle and become a better person by managing those conflicts. He should not avoid conflicts. He should love conflicts and seek to go into areas of conflicts and discuss and debate. That is how the leader promotes change. And last, leadership communication style is open. Leader is empathetic. He listens. He loves to mentor and coach people. He goes into dialogue. He does not discourage people from saying whatever they want to say. The open, this is what creates trust. This is what makes people get linked to other. So leadership, communicating as a leader, is a whole new subject that you need to understand, to master, to develop this area in yourself. It is distinct from your leadership style. But when you practice a leadership style, as passive, for example, transformation, you will be using all of these communication styles in that style. So learn to develop your communication style. Learn to develop your leadership styles. Learn to develop your leadership model. Identify your objectives. What do you want to do and what communication style suits best for that? So in the end, let me recall what we promised. So we discussed why leadership, what is what leaders do, how leaders do, and how leaders communicate. So these were the four areas: why, what, how, that we discussed about leadership, and we have highlighted the depth, the breadth of this area, not the depth, the breadth of this area, and we also highlighted how much we need to learn to practice as a leader. Any question now? Any question now? Now that we have closed this session, I would like, what did you learn from this session? Yes, I'm waiting for your feedback. What did you learn from this session?
Gee, guys, I know it's 8 p.m., must be tired, but okay. Then now we have a couple of comments for you.
Give them time to write.
Gee, so in fact, I mean, if somebody wants to talk to Mubin Saab, just show your hand and I'll unmute you and you can talk as well.
This is a very vast area. Continuous learning is required, but more important is practicing. Practice leadership. Learn to change your mindset from manager to leader. Ask this question to yourself: in this situation, how can I act as a leader? Many times it has been asked, what leadership style would you prefer? Sorry, as I told you, there's no right leadership style. It's all dependent upon situation. But the best leadership style, if you can practice, is transformational leadership style, coaching leadership style, delegative leadership style. These are very, very good leadership styles. An authentic leadership style is one of the excellent. But again, it all depends upon the situation. But help people grow, help people get motivated, help people get a vision in their life. So question is again, do you have a vision, not a goal? There's a difference between goal and vision. Do you have a vision in your life? Do you have a purpose in your life? Rather, let me ask this one. Or you are just earning money, working day in and day out? Help people, help yourself, practice leadership, identify the most important values that you have, your team has, your organization has, and learn to practice that value. Value is practiced when you convert it into a behavior. Value is not something that we use to talk about, it's what we behave. For example, value of respect. If you have a value of respect, you must show respect. to not only to the elders but to the children as well, to the kids as well. Junaid Khalid wants to speak. Harun sir?
Ji, Mubin Sahab, Shahid here. Let me,
Shahid sir. Junaid Khalid
Ji,
wants to speak.
Ji, let me unmute Junaid and then he will talk. Ji, Junaid, you can unmute yourself and talk.
Sir. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
सर
I
आप मुझे
can.
सुन सकते हैं? थैंक यू सो मच फॉर द ग्रेट सेशन. मेरे कुछ पॉइंट्स हैं सर इसमें. ये मैं आपसे जानना चाहता कि कैसे हम लोग कंसिस्टेंसी क्रिएट कर सकते हैं कि समटाइम हम मोटिवेट फील करते हैं लेकिन ऑन द अदर डे मोटिवेशन लेवल इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द प्रीवियस वन. एक तो ये चीज़ है. और फिर अगर हमारे पास अगर कोई अथेंटिक लीडरशिप वाले लोग हैं तो उनसे कनेक्ट करना सर इतना ईजी नहीं होता. तो ये मेरे इसमें पॉइंट्स है. और आपका जो सेशन है इससे काफ़ी मोटिवेशन तो ऑलरेडी क्रिएट हुई है और काफ़ी चीज़ें बहुत ज़्यादा क्लियर हुई हैं. और एक तो ये चीज़ के सेंस जो मुझे बेहतरीन इसमें एक जो मैंने इस तरह से की टेक अवे लिया है कि सर आपने ऑपोजिट भी देखना है पिक्चर को और देन आपने अथेंटिक होके अपना सिचुएशन पे डिपेंड करते हुए अपने आप का लीडरशिप स्टाइल है वो अडॉप्ट करना है. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर द सेशन एंड ऑल द लर्निंग शेयर्ड विद अस.
जो सवाल है, पहला सवाल ये है कि जो हमें कंसिस्टेंसी कैसे आए जिंदगी में.
बस करके एक होता है कि अब मतलब आज आप मोटिवेशन लेवल कुछ है आपका और कल आप फील करते हो कि आज मोटिवेशन लेवल आप है. द मोमेंट द अदर डे आपको मोटिवेशन लेवल उतना नहीं होता और मतलब आप उस तरह परफॉर्म नहीं कर सकते चीज़ों के लिए. तो ये कैसे फोकस कैसे हम रख सकते हैं. और देन अगर आपके पास लीडर्स आपको ऑथेंटिक लीडर्स हैं अवेलेबल तो उनसे कनेक्ट करना बड़ा डिफिकल्ट होता है. तो उस सिचुएशन में हम क्या ऐसे अदर वेज अडॉप्ट कर सकते हैं कि अगर हम कनेक्ट किए बगैर कुछ लर्निंग ले सकें या कुछ ऐसी चीज.
आंसर कर देता हूं, दोनों क्वेश्चंस का आंसर कर देता हूं. सबसे पहले कंसिस्टेंसी इन लाइफ, about rather it's about motivation or anything. सबसे the first thing to become consistent is एक आदत डालो. अपना जो भी गोल है उसको शेयर कर लो लोगों के साथ. शेयर इट with at least one person और उसको बोलो कि तुमने मुझे मॉनिटर करना है. अपने टास्क, अपने टाइमलाइंस उसको बोलो कि मैं these are my tasks, these are my goals, these are my timelines. I will report it to you. The person could be a brother, father, mother, sister, friend, boss, anybody. And ask that person to monitor you and be very strict with your monitoring. This thing will make you do those things on a regular basis. Second thing, if you have an authentic leader in your life, only way to get connected is to show you value what the person values. You are ready to give the person is giving the sacrifice. That person value, you will become connected. Yet you will also that you will that you are learning in that way. So that person has to be slow and or passionate for you. So the person will help you develop, but the person will be very, very strict. Authentic leaders are very, very strict. They demand very high level of commitment to the goal. So if you are ready to go for that level of commitment, go to that person. Otherwise, don't. They will not like you. So regarding motivation, you must know why you are doing. You must remember and have a picture of the goals that you want to achieve. You must have a value that you are going to attach with the work that you are doing. If the value is consistent, you will be motivated. Each day you will live your value and you will be motivated. Right? So consistency is based on your values and the importance of that value. If that value is important, for example, everyday life में डाइटिंग की बात कर लूं मैं, अगर बात कर लूं सुबह उठने की, अगर आपके लिए डाइटिंग के लिए आपकी फिगर आपके पर्सनालिटी इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड दैट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट वैल्यू यू विल फॉलो इट लेकिन अगर आपके लिए सिर्फ इट्स नॉट इंपॉर्टेंट इट्स जस्ट अ पास टाइम you will not be motivated if getting up in the morning is one of the most important values for you and if you can associate high cost high price high pain of not doing with this behavior you will be consistent but if the pain is not high if the cost is not high if the value is not high you will not be consistent whenever you will not do that behavior you will become angry with yourself and you will do
Yeah,
that
right.
behavior
Yes.
right so
Yes, very.
it's all about your importance the values for example getting up in the morning for namaz we have all the excuses in the world because it's not important.
Hmm.
The day it will become the most important thing, you will ask people to throw water on you. Right? So this is what leadership is all about. You have to learn and practice your values. What is important for you? Take help from people around you. Anything
Thank
else?
you, sir.
Thank you.
No, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Allah Hafiz. Thank you, Arun sir. I think it's time. Or Shahid sir.
Ji, Mubin Sab, thank you very much
Thank you
for
very
taking
much.
time out and delivering this wonderful session. I'm sure all of us, we learned a lot, or it was a perfect closure of this Seven Digits program. And uh, with your permission, I'm just winding it up in a minute or two.
Sure.
So we have what we have covered in more than a dozen sessions are the skill set, mindset, and tool set required to exponentially improve our earning potential. We have attended sessions around business models of the future, what is the venture capital and things going on, public speaking, taxation, competency framework, power of resilience, power of networking, dressing for winning, Power BI, uh, five career zones, many more. But another important session delivered by you around leadership. So this is a perfect closure of this program. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you will further grow in your professional careers. Remember, success is extremely important, but it is not only for you. It's for your family, friends, nation, and the overall society. जो कि मुबीन साहब ने भी अपनी अर्लियर स्लाइड में जिक्र किया कि लीडरशिप में सोसाइटल इम्पैक्ट भी एक्सट्रीमली इंपॉर्टेंट है. So we wish you very best of luck. There will be a closing ceremony. We will hold on 3rd of June, next Thursday, which means, and we will invite our colleague who is our regional director, Stuart, and also Ayla Majid, who is our global council member. Or we will close the ceremony. We'll definitely send participation certificates to all those who have attended these sessions, and we'll stay in touch. Our CPD will continue, so we will get to learn lot more from now onwards as well from each other. So thank you very much for your time. Any questions, any last comments, you can ask here. Otherwise, you can drop messages in the WhatsApp group. As far as मुबीन साहब, एक frequently asked question होता है और ये आपके लिए भी है. आप permission देते हैं कि ये जो slide deck है ये share किया जा सके with participants, इसका कोई PDF version just for their future reference?
Obviously, it's a knowledge,
Great.
common knowledge.
Excellent. That
You should
was
use it.
Zabardast. I was expecting the same. So that's a wonderful response, Praveen sir. Thank you very much. So guys, enjoy the rest of your week. Khuda Hafiz. Thank you, Mubin sir. Khuda Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.